There's an item that existed since the beginning of League. It got removed back in 2016 and recently it got re-added. It had many versions that did different things and right now it's used by just 2 or 3 champions. I'm talking about Overlord's Bloodmail. Why it's so unpopular? Is it broken? Was the older version better? Overlord's Bloodmail is in top 5 items with the lowest pick rate. Its pick rate varies between 2 and 3%, and it's used by just 3 champions. Seth always builds it as his third item, making rare exceptions for Sterak's Gauge. Sometimes Urgot could buy Overlord's Bloodmail instead of Jack Show or Sterak's, and Cyan builds it in the late game while playing normally. Why only these 3 champions build it? Its passive gives up to 10% AD increase based on your missing health. It might look like a huge attack damage increase, but champions that buy Overlord's Bloodmail don't have much AD and spend a lot of gold on defensive items, so they won't gain a lot of attack damage from this passive. For example, Seth with 3 items, level 12 and Doran's blade would gain 28 extra AD, but keep in mind that you have to be below 30% health to get it. Compared to other fighter items like Sterak's Gauge or Sundered Sky, its passive is too underpowered. Overlord's Bloodmail gives extra AD while you are low or not full health, and it gives additional attack based on your max health, but I will talk about it later. Sterak's Gauge gives one of the biggest shields in the league, and it gives extra AD too. Sterak's is much better than Overlord's Bloodmail, consequently Sterak's has higher pick rate and more champions use it. Overlord loses in comparison to Sundered Sky, cause Sundered gives crit, gives a heal that's based on your missing HP and base AD and converts excess healing into bonus health for a short period of time. This passive has cooldown of just 8 seconds per target. It gives a lot of survivability. Compared to this, Overlord's passive looks useless. And there are so many items that are just better than Overlord's Bloodmail. The same goes for stats. Overlord's gold efficiency is 75%, which means that you don't get much stats for your gold. For example, Sundered Sky has gold efficiency of 96%, or Trinity Force has gold efficiency of 109%. Okay, if this item is so trash, why some champions still using it? The answer is simple. It gives a perfect combination of stats that are good on these champions, or it synergizes with their kit. For Seth, Overlord's passive perfectly synergizes with the kit, cause Seth was designed to deal a lot of damage while he is low, and this item does the same thing. Seth builds Overlord's Bloodmail in every game. Can that mean that this item is bad on all champions but it's broken on Seth? By the way, I've already made a video about item that's used by one champion and it's broken. If you wanna know more, go watch this video. So Overlord's Bloodmail is broken on one champion? No. But part of its passive is broken. Let me explain. Yes, its passive is weak compared to other items, and its gold efficiency is low, but there is a problem. It gives AD that equals to 2% bonus health. And I think that damage shouldn't scale with health, cause tanks and bruisers that build it become tanky and they're still able to deal absurd amount of damage. It breaks League of Legends cause one of their main stats scales with the other one. What are the most important stats that have huge impact for these champions? It's damage, AD or AP, survivability, so it's HP, armor and MR. Tanks and bruisers are melee, they have to be in close range to deal damage, so third important stat is move speed. One of their main stats, AD or AP, scales with another main stat, HP. I think that's what breaks League of Legends, and that's why tanks and bruisers are OP. Their damage scales with their health. If they have items like this, then allow all other classes to have similar items. Like ADC's main stats are damage, cause their attack damage carries. In most games, tanks and bruisers deal more damage than ADC's. Range, because it allows them to kite this bitch. And mobility. If tanks and bruisers have an item that scales one of their main stats, AD or AP, on another main stat, HP, Make an item for ADCs that increases their main stat, let's say range, based on another main stat, AD. Create an item for mages that gives, I don't know, haste based on your AP. Oh, but mages have Seraph's Embrace that gives AP based on your mana. Isn't mana one of the main stats for mages? No, mana is a joke. You build one mana item on almost all mages. Items like Riftmaker or Titanic Hydra that give AD or AP based on how much health you have are broken and shouldn't exist. I think if items, abilities and runes that give you damage that scales with your health didn't exist, League would be much better, because tanks wouldn't deal absurd amount of damage and fighters would have to choose between building more defense or damage. Instead of going for items that give both stats at the same time, it would create more build diversity. And I'm not saying that tanks shouldn't deal any damage, but a lot of times tanks deal same amount of damage as any other class, or even more, while having 4k HP, 300 armor, 200 magic resist, and being completely unkillable. Back to Overlord's Bloodmail. Other items that give damage based on health are broken, but Overlord's is one of the few items that give that scaling and it's balanced. Nah, it's not balanced, it's trash. But it wasn't always like this. Welcome to the League of Legends history class, and today's topic is: was Overlord's Bloodmail better? It was added to the League of Legends in 2012 in patch 1.0.150, along with other items like Blade of the Ruined King, Blackfire Torch, and other 6 items were added to the game. Also, Elise was added in this patch. That's how old Overlord's Bloodmail worked. On takedown or assist, regen 200 health over 5 seconds. After 12 years of absence, it appeared in the arena in patch 14.9. It was the same as current version. The only difference is that it gave more stats and its passive had different percentages. It got re-added to the Summoner's Rift in 14.10, and it had one minor change in 14.19. Its health was increased from 500 to 550, and AD was reduced to 30 from 40. So now we know about Overlord's Bloodmail. So what's the answer to the question? Was Overlord's Bloodmail better? It's hard to compare its old version to the new one, because League of Legends was different, but I think that right now it's too weak. But the part of its passive that gives AD based on your health is broken, because in my opinion damage shouldn't scale with health, because it breaks the game. Older version of Overlord's Bloodmail was better. A bit of off topic, its old icon is identical to the new one, there are just few minor improvements. I think that's the only item icon that was unchanged since the beginning of League. If you know any other item icons that stayed unchanged for a long time, feel free to write it in the comments down below. Shit, I'm becoming a professional. Now we know about Overlord's Bloodmail, but do you want to know about an item that's used by every single AP champion? Then go watch this video and please subscribe, because I only got 442 subs.